Hi class, today we're going to be talking about the elements of art. Let's jump into it. So there are 7 elements of art. They are line, shape, color, value, texture, space, and form. Line. Essentially, a line is a dot that went for a walk. So art would be sung without a line is also a good way to remember it. So really it is just one point that travels directions, okay? It's just a little mark that goes somewhere. So over here are a few different types of line. So you can have a curved line, you can have a spiral, a zigzag, a mountain, a loop-de-loop, a horizontal, diagonal, vertical. The amount of lines that you can make on your page is endless. And a contour line is when you have one point and it's just continuous. So that means your entire piece of artwork is on one single line without you lifting up your pencil. Here are some examples of line artwork. Over here I have some contour line drawings. You can see it's just a continuous line. Oftentimes it's a little bit messy, a little bit more free-flowing. I really enjoy this type of artwork, so just one continuous line. And then here's an example how line can be used in our artwork as well. Shape. Shape is two-dimensional, and it's an area enclosed by line. So you have a few different types of two-dimensional shapes. You have geometric, so that's square, triangle, circle. These are just your basic shapes that you learned growing up. And then you have organic. These are found in nature. Okay, this is your river that's flowing through. This is your trees, your flowers. Okay, things that are very organic. Here are some examples of organic and geometric art. This is geometric over here, and this is organic. You can see how it's used in nature and also very free-flowing as well. Color. Color reflects off of a surface. So color is the most expressive of all the elements, and it can also be very tricky to use. So you have your primary colors, that is red, yellow, and blue, and then you have your secondary colors, which is orange, green, and purple. So over here is a color wheel, and we will have a full unit just on color on its own, but just start to familiarize yourself and recognize these as well. Also along to do with color, you have hue. So hue is the color itself. You have saturation, which is the intensity of the color, and you have value, which is the lightness and darkness of the color. Here are some examples of how color is used. Over here, you have some really bright, vibrant colors, and over here you have some more muted tones. Over here are the complementary colors. Value. Value is lightness or darkness. So value is one of the most powerful tools that an artist can use because it really helps create depth, and it really helps create lifelikeness and realness. So you cannot have balance and contrast without value. So here is a value scale down here, and some examples of artwork using value. Every time that there is a plane change, there is a value change. So let's say that you're talking about your face. Pretend your hand is a different plane. So you're touching your nose will be different than your cheek because you're using different planes. Texture. So texture is essentially just the surface quality of an object. So there can be real texture. This can be seen or felt. So like the texture of my hair. Okay, you can have soft or rough or fluffy, prickly, bumpy, or you can have simulated texture. So this is more of an artistic illusion. So it gives the appearance that is a real, but it is just drawn on the page. You also have invented texture. Invented texture does not exist on the object. So example of this could be a balloon that has cactus pricks on it, okay? So this is not real, but it's invented. You also have some examples like this down here. So this is a furry plate and cup. So in real life, you would not have fur on there, but it was invented. Here are some other examples of texture. Let's talk about space. There's positive space and negative space. Positive occupies the space, and negative is the absence of space. You also have depth and illusion. So depth is the illusion of real space. And composition is very complicated. There's many components of composition, but really it's just the way things are arranged. So you have proportion and size, overlapping, foreground, middle ground, background. There are all sorts of examples of composition. Here are some down here. And we'll get more into that later, but just keep that in mind that it is related to space. So here's your foreground, middle ground, and background. You see this a lot in landscapes. And then here's some more positive and negative space. Form. Form is three-dimensional and has volume. So it's height plus width plus depth equals form. So you have cube, pyramid, prism, cone, sphere, things like this. The difference between shape and form is that shape is two-dimensional and form is three-dimensional. So you can see over here that these are just shapes, right? You just have your circle, your square, your triangle. But in form, it is more dimensional, right? It has depth, it has height, it has width. So that'd be your form. So that'd be your sphere, your cube, your pyramid, your cone, your cylinder, things along those lines. Here are some examples of how form is used in artwork. Why are the elements of art important? They are important for several reasons. First, they are most important because a person cannot create art without utilizing at least a few of them. No elements, no art. End of story. And we wouldn't even be talking about it today if you didn't have elements. Second, knowing the elements of art really help us to describe what the artist has done in the artwork. It also helps us to analyze what's going on in a particular piece and communicate our thoughts and find common language to use to describe the artwork. The elements of art are really just building blocks for the artwork. They are more like the ingredients for the cake. Artists use elements to plan and organize the art. They are organized according to the principles of design, and this could be considered the recipe of the cake. Later on, we will talk about principles of art, but I hope you enjoyed this elements introduction. Thanks.